problem Kemi Badenoch has is lots of people think she has much potential, but her colleagues can find her a bit abrasive. And therefore, I think some think, during a long campaign with scrutiny, could she blow up and then help whoever does make it to the membership alongside her? Because I think right now there's a good chance she would get to the final two.
Yes, so let's check in on the race to become the next Tory leader with Katy Balls, who's watching so that you don't have to. Spectator's political editor, of course. Katy, it's sort of, there's lots of noise. There were articles, there were briefings, there were terrible leaks, which Kemi Badenoch's furious about. But no one who's actually yet said they have thrown their hat in the ring.
No one, despite the multiple media appearances and multiple interviews and positioning, no one's formally gone for it. I think because when they call around colleagues to try and scope them out, there's a lot of, are you really doing this right now? And why are you making this about you? So everyone is tentatively running without actually saying it. And I think also because they're waiting to see the official timetable. But I think we have a clear sense of who the main contenders are. And as you say, the disclosure in the Times that Kemi Badenoch had gone for Rishi Sunak in the first shadow cabinet, I think does show that some positioning there too.
And there's some new polling out today from Queen Mary University London and Sussex University, where they're party members, they poll party members. Amongst Tory party members, Kemi Badenoch, the clear favourite, 31% backing her. Basically double the support for Suella Braverman and Tom Tugendhat. So is it hers to lose, do you think? And is this the right strategy to go to? I mean, obviously she's livid that someone's leaked what she said, but assuming it is now out there, is she the one to beat?
Yeah, she must be truly livid. I think that she is the one to beat. If you look at the bookies odds, if you look at what the membership is, on general public, Kemi Badenoch has often done less well than some of her colleagues. I think if Penny Mordaunt had clung on, we'd be talking about Kemi Badenoch and Penny Mordaunt as the two front runners. I think that it really now is the question is who else would get to the membership. Of course, there are some in the Tory party who would like this to not even go to the membership or to change up the rules, but I think that would face strong resistance. I think if Robert Jenrick could get to the membership, it could be a bit surprising what might happen in that runoff, because the problem Kemi Badenoch has is lots of people think she has much potential, but her colleagues can find her a bit abrasive. And therefore, I think some think, during a long campaign with scrutiny, could she blow up and then help whoever does make it to the membership alongside her? Because I think right now there's a good chance she would get to the final two, barring, a big upset.
Now, it was the famous Spectator summer party last night. Who was all the gossip about? Is there anyone on the sort of surprising... any surprising names or speculation about how long this might go on for? Most of them were there, weren't they? All the names we've been talking about were sort of milling about.
Yeah, I think most of them are there. Of course, we had, the New Brigade and Wes Streeting, Peter Manderson, the potential next ambassador. But then there was all these Tory machinations, of course, going on the side. You had the fallen Liz Truss, and then you had Robert Jenrick, Kemi Badenoch, James Cleverly. Lots of the figures that Victoria Atkins, who could, we think, throw their hat in the ring. And then there was Nigel Farage walking around. And I think that obviously was a very visual reminder of some of the debates that are going to happen in this contest, which is about what to do about reform. And I think that was the main talk last night, which was, when it came to the Tory figures at the party, there was a lot of, do you bring them close? Do you ignore them? And there were quite strong opinions on that. Meanwhile, you had, the new cabinet walking around looking very cheerful and obviously enjoying the fact that everyone is giving them more attention than the Tories.
I was going to say that because I wasn't there last night, but who was getting the biggest donuts? Who was getting... when journalists are sort of gathering around politicians, was it the Labour lot who were getting the biggest donuts?
I think there was definitely, I think you could see, Bridget Phillips and Wes Streeting. I think that, also just some of the Labour press figures, the new aides and spads, basically. You had Rachel Reeves' team there and so forth. So I think, when people can smell power, they tend to try and get quite close. But that said, I think there was lots of interest in Kemi Badenoch and some of those figures. But if you're a middling backbench Tory MP, you're probably getting less of a donut these days.
George Freeman, former Conservative Science Minister and MP for Mid Norfolk. Good evening to you.
Evening.
Your thoughts, first of all, on Bob Blackman as the new chair of the 1922 committee?
I think it's an excellent appointment. He's a very, very long-standing campaigner and a veteran. I think it's pretty unfortunate that the way it's, he's off to a bad start in terms of the way it was arranged, but that wasn't him. But I think he's an excellent appointment. We've got the right guy. And it's a really important role because the Conservative Party's just suffered the biggest rejection from the electorate in its history, for over 100 years. And we are going to need to take a very long, hard look in the mirror. And I've been on record already this week in saying we mustn't rush into a leadership election. We need to go into a serious period, 6-9 months of properly looking at why and how a whole raft of different voter groups have abandoned us and how we put that right. If I was in business, if this was a business, we've just suffered a major collapse of our share price. Investors are fleeing. Nobody's buying the product. And we've got a management problem. Well, when that happens, you don't just have a management problem, you have a purpose problem. And we've got to really look hard at learning the right lessons and then reforming the party from top to bottom.
Yeah. What do you think of the fact that the Conservative Party membership will still be involved?
Well, I think it's vital that they're involved. But when I say from top to bottom, I mean from top to bottom. I think the Conservative Party has come to look to the public like, I fear it's come to look like a club basically for the pursuit of power. And people have lost sight of the values that bring us together. Most businesses out there today have values and they stand for something. So do we, but we're not clear about them. So I'd like it from top to bottom, a review of Conservative headquarters, a review of our funding. We're far too beholden to a few small donors, and our membership offer. I think our members are not getting very much for their money.
Yes. But you need to answer my question, George, because you have previously said that you didn't think it was such a great idea for the next Conservative Party leader to be elected. I am answering your question. I'm answering it in my terms, which is that, let me finish if you may, that we need to reform the Conservative Party profoundly. And I think that on the leadership, I turn it round so that the membership take any applicants, all applicants, and hear them all, and boil it down to, say, 3. And then the parliamentary party choose from the 3 or whatever the number is that the party membership nominate the leader, because we have to end this psychodrama of the 2 wings of the party disagreeing and the membership being offered a choice, choosing someone who parliamentary colleagues know is not fit for the job. You have to end that. Okay. So you would like to see the membership boil down the shortlist to 3 candidates for leadership, and then you would then like Conservative MPs to be able to make that choice from the final 3.
Yes, because we have to get away from one of the most damaging things has been members justifiably saying, well, hang on, I elected Liz Truss or Boris Johnson or whoever it was, and parliamentary party understanding either before or very quickly that they can't work with her or him. So you
and it's
can't
always
have that.
difficult. It is always difficult if you've got the membership behind one person, and that can be the sort of popular vote almost, and that isn't necessarily belt and braces what the Conservative Party needs. You're in a very vulnerable, you are at a vulnerable point at the moment where every decision is incredibly crucial. Bob Blackman's already said that he wants to involve the Conservative Party membership and didn't say that there would be any change as to the manner of their involvement. So that'll perhaps be something that you'll have to raise with him.
I already have. And I've said to him, listen, I think there is an argument to say that when we're in opposition, I've heard this argument put that it's fine, members should choose the leader in opposition, but you change the rules when you're in government. Well, if that's the case, this is the time to change those rules. And for the next 6-9 months, we are completely irrelevant. The country wants us to go away. They want us to show that we've learned the lesson, that we've understood what the electorate are telling us. And of course, the shadow cabinet, excellent group, can hold the government to account at the dispatch box. But the Conservative Party has got to go and show that it's listened properly to the electorate. And I think, as I say, that's a top to bottom grassroots reform. And while we're doing that, why not revise our constitution?
Yeah.
It would show the public that we've listened.
And look, you are a fan of this being a long process, as long as it takes, potentially into next spring from this 6 to 9 month time frame. Would you be happy to see an interim leader, and who might that person be? If you're going all the way through to early next year, you're going to have an interim leader. who might that be?
Two questions. Yeah, on timing. I mean, I think the ideal timing would be a summer of deep reflection, looking at all the data and the analysis, building up to a party conference. Frankly, no one else is going to be there. We're pretty irrelevant at the moment, in which we, all the members and everybody, go through properly why we lost, and not sort of who said this about Boris or who said this about Liz, but actually look at the data and look at which voter groups didn't vote and why, and set out a proper, serious raft of reforms to make this party connectable with the 21st century electorate, and then ask the leadership candidates to address those issues in their campaigns.
Okay.
And I think that could be done we could have a conference, and then we could have a leadership campaign in the autumn, and the new leader is announced first week of January.
Okay.
Or sometime in January. So it needn't be, I mean, we can't take 12 months about it. On your second question, if the Prime Minister, if Rishi Sunak wants to, I think he's earned the right to oversee that process. Equally, I mean, I think he had an impossible job to do. If he decides somebody else, then I think we can and should choose a very good caretaker to see us through that process. Both possible.
Okay, but no thoughts on who that interim leader might be?
Oh, I think as long as it's somebody who is not standing, somebody who has the trust, can command the trust of the various so-called five families of conservatism, and somebody whose integrity is unquestioned. There are several candidates. I'm not going to name any, but we're not short of people who would qualify.